New skills, new skills, new you. We're going to talk about how I read 52 books in 1 year and why you should not do that. So there's a couple things in this video. We're going to cover why reading is so valuable. How many books should you be reading? We'll talk a little bit about what books, but that really depends on your goals. So I'll make some general suggestions, but I want to point you in the right direction. I want to think for you. I want to help you make better decisions for your life, business, or career. And then last but not least, we're going to play around with Excel and some spreadsheets. So fun fact, the average American after high school reads one book a year. And then I've seen some versions of that statistic where it says zero point 0.8 books a year. And that one kind of amused me because that means we're either starting books and not finishing them, or it takes us 5 years to read 4 books. Okay, I was born in America. I did complete high school, right? Uh, but I realize if that's the bar, if that's the average, the metric, all they have to do to be above average is read 2 books. I'm like, I could do that. I learned how to read, and it's sure it takes a little practice. I have a buddy, great friend of mine, suffers from dyslexia. It takes him a little longer to read books, but he still reads 10 to 12 books a year. Um, I read about, depending on the size and print, about 1 page per minute. So using that metric, and you can do your own metric. Let's have some fun in Excel. Let me just share this screen over here. Actually, I'm going to share the window. Beautiful. Okay. So let's pull up a blank spreadsheet here. And there we go. Let's full screen. Let's make the font a little bigger. We want to see what we're doing. So let's say you read for 10, let's put minutes here, and that is still tiny. So give me a second. There we go. Let's see you read for 10 minutes, okay? 10 minutes every day. And this is something I wanted to show you all. And let's say that's about 10 pages. Okay, stay with me. Now, how many pages are in your average book? Let's just say 210, right? I really want this font to be bigger. Come on, help me out. All right, let's just say 210. Let's keep it real simple. So here's what I'm thinking. If you commit to 10 minutes daily, you can read 10 pages. That might be 5 for some people, that might be 20 for other people, but just 10 minutes. The reason we start with such a small increment is something I learned years ago, is using the smallest increment of progress helps you build momentum, helps you build consistency, helps you build confidence, it helps you practice, and it removes the excuse from I'm too busy, or I don't have time. You can take 10 minutes, maybe you get to work, and you read 10 minutes before you go in, right? I keep a book in my glove box. Maybe it's right before bed, maybe it's before you get up. Where can you find 10 minutes to read 10 pages? Okay. Now here's what happens. There's 210 pages in a book, right? So let me see if I can't get this font to stick everywhere. Let's take this number, that's the number of pages in the book, and divided by this one, and that's how many days it would take, right? Pages in the book divided by pages I read a day. This is how many days it would take to read a book. So with no Sundays, I could read one book in a month. So now all of a sudden, in just 10 minutes, I can read one book. And I really want you to apply this to a lot of areas of your life, whether it's working out, whether it's learning a new recipe, whether it's practicing an instrument, whether it's learning to code. What if you just worked on it for 10 minutes? What if you just worked on it for 10 minutes? And so what happens is If you triple this number, this number decreases by a third. What does that mean? So now, if I read 30 pages a day, it only takes me 7 days to read one book. So let's check out something real quick. How many weeks are in a year? All right, there's 52.1429. That's the reason we have leap years, by the way. Let's go back here. So if I read 7 books equals 1 week, that's 1 week, right? That's how I read 52 books in a year. Just 30 pages. It took me about 30 minutes. So 30 minutes a day, I was able to read 52 books in a year. So let me show you something else. That's not just for books, you guys. That's for, remember I say all the time, one new skill will change your life. That could be your sales skills. That could be Excel skills. I'm okay at Excel. I can do tables and projects and tasks and formulas, but there's some wizards out there. Cheers to you. So I want to show you this chart I made to keep track. I started in 2018. I started reading books. So let's see, how many books is this on this one? I read books like You're a Badass at Making Money. I listened to the Ultimate Zig Ziglar Library. Ooh, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. So here's my advice for what book should I read, Bruce? What do you want to become? Who do you want to be? Those are the books you should read. So if you want to learn about artificial intelligence, guess what? You should read books on artificial intelligence and machine learning. If you want to get better at being a cook, I would probably read books on cooking techniques and maybe some autobiographies of other great chefs. And that brings me to a really important point. Let me stop sitting right here. You're not going to become a great chef by reading books. You're going to become a great chef by cooking. You'll be a better chef by reading books and by cooking. It's both. It's learn and do. And so many times, I'm talking to me, but I hope you're listening. I would spend so much time learning that it took away from the time I was doing. And guess what? You don't get results based on what you learn. You don't get paid on what you know. You get paid on what you do with what you know. For example, you say, well, Bruce, don't speakers get paid for what they know? Yes, but they get paid to articulate what they know in a way that moves the audience to action. So even then, they can't just be smart at home on the couch. They got to be smart virtually, right in front of the camera. They got to be smart on stage, and they have to be able to get all those thoughts and experience from here, get their inspiration from here, and pour it into the audience. So there's action that has to happen to make learning more valuable. One of my favorite quotes, which I wrote, if you just learn and collect knowledge, you become a historian. If you just learn, you're collecting knowledge, you're a librarian, you're a historian. But if you take that knowledge and you apply it, you become a history maker. That's where I want you to get, which it took me way too many years to figure out. Let's go back to my chart here. I love a good chart. All right, so I read, it looks like here about 58, and it says double check for duplicates. I did read one or two twice because I wasn't tracking. That's another conversation for another day. 2019, I actually read 75 books, and this is a mixture of audiobooks and hard copies. I believe the information is the same. The problem I have with audiobooks is people tend to multitask. They're not taking notes. They're not paying attention. They're exercising or washing dishes or folding clothes or whatever the case may be. And I worry that you're missing parts of the information. Now, sometimes that's the only time you have. You're like, man, I got to get this task done. I would listen to something positive. Great. I'm not telling you to stop listening to audiobooks, but I also want you to hold yourself accountable. Hey, am I absorbing this information in a way I understand it well enough to apply? Okay. I read some great books here. As a Man Thinketh, I recommend that one for almost everyone. 'Cause, you know, I read some great books here. As a Man Thinketh, I recommend that one for almost everyone. 'Cause, you know, I read some great books here. As a Man Thinketh, I recommend that one for almost everyone. 'Cause, you know, I read some great books here. As a Man Thinketh, I recommend that one for almost everyone. 'Cause, you know, I read some great books here. As a Man Thinketh, I recommend that one for almost everyone. 'Cause, you know, I read some great books here. As a Man Thinketh, I recommend that one for almost everyone. 'Cause, you know, I read some great books here. As a Man Thinketh, I recommend that one for almost everyone. 'Cause, you know, I read some great books here. As a Man Thinketh, I recommend that one for almost everyone. 'Cause, you know, I read some great books here. As a Man Thinketh, I recommend that one for almost everyone. 'Cause, you know, The Dip. Oh man, that's a good one by Seth Godin. He talked about most people give up at the dip, but that's really the indication you're about to have a breakthrough. The 10x rule. Say what you will about Grant Cardone. Um, he talks about multiplying our activity. Now, I think that a lot of us do need to work harder. However, I will argue that working harder isn't the solution if you're doing the wrong things. I don't want you to do more of the wrong things. So get a coach. Okay, here it is. 2020, I started keeping a better chart. So, all right, how many books I was trying to read, um, how many weeks were remaining in the year, and I would keep track of when I read them. You see, I was bad at tracking. Looks like I didn't start tracking the date till the end of the year. And that's one thing I would like to go back and do better. 2021, I started getting more details. So check this out. Here's the book title, day completed, which looks like I'm pretty poor about recording that. There's a format, so audio, hard copy. So I'll track the pages or hours. So let's look in 2021, or 2,564 pages, listed a total of 182 hours. Wow, I didn't realize. And this is what happens when you build habits. This is just 30 minutes a day. So, people argue like, well, I got kids or I'm in school. I mean, those are reasons. If you want to let them be excuses, that's up to you. Um, but if you can't find 10 minutes a day, then whatever you're working towards must not be that important to you. Here's a good one. So let me zoom in a little bit on here. It looks like my target was 52, only read 42. Now here's something really, really fun. In 2020, I read 53. In 2021, I read 42. But here's a fun fact. My income increased from 2020 to 2021, even though the number of books I read decreased. Why? Execution. That's the difference. Let's keep going. Let's see here. This year, I read 18 books. I don't know if I just didn't track them or if I just fell apart. 2022, you know what? I think my income increased this year as well. Still no excuse. I obviously wasn't organized and consistent. That's okay. Learn and grow. Learn and grow. This year, 2024, number starts creeping back up. Looks like I got a mathematical or a formula error there. That's all right. As a speaker, I love to read things like Think and Grow Rich, Best of Les Brown, Sales Enablement. That was a good one. I work as a sales success coach, so I'm working on my skills. So again, what you read should depend on who you want to become. If you want to become a better speaker, read books from other speakers. But if you want to become a better speaker, then it doesn't make sense to read books on investing. Are those helpful? Sure. But are they consistent with who you want to become? Those match your goals. So let's get to 2025. Currently, it's the 23rd of February. Here's some targets of books that I want to read. Now, if you highlight this row, let's see, it should count it for me. There's 58 books in this row. One thing I learned and I recommend is you set your target higher. So even if you fail, you land closer to success. What does that mean? So if I said, hey, I'm going to read 12 books, I'll probably read 12. Maybe I'll read 11 books. But if I say I'm going to shoot for 52 books and I fail, quote unquote, I only read 28, that's a good year. That's a good year. That's new ideas, that's new concepts, that's reinforcing old concepts. And honestly, when you're reading books, you're not on social media, right? When you're reading books, you're not watching television. When you're reading books, you're not complaining, like you're learning. So not only am I doing less of the negative things, I'm doing more of the positive things. And then here's my overall statistics. Number of books. Let's see here. Oh, hey. Let me update this formula right here. You guys can do a little Excel with me. There we go. And let's see here. what I'm doing, oops, is just changing this formula to reference the tab 2020-25. So that's how many hours I've listened, how many books I've read. Let's see how many pages I've done for this year. That can't be right. There we go. 163 pages in February. Beautiful. So this is something else that's going to help. When you're at the beginning of the year and you're like, man, I've only read 3 books. How am I ever going to get to 52? Or whatever your goal is, 12. If it's 2 books, I promise you're still above average. This number can seem small, but you have to give yourself credit for the progress you've made. If you don't, you can get discouraged very easily. You can get frustrated very easily, and you'll be tempted to give up. So then, check this out. You can't accidentally read 293 books. You can't accidentally listen to almost 400 hours of audible learning. You can't accidentally read 8,691 pages of hard copies. You have to do it on purpose. You have to do it over time. So let's go back here. That's why this 30 minutes a day is so powerful. I didn't even realize that number was that high. So 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Over the last 8 years, 7 going on 8 years, I've read almost 300 books to help me be better as a sales leader, as a personal professional development coach, as a trainer. That happens in 30 minutes daily. Listen, I have a full-time job. I'm running a business. Try to stay in shape. I like to travel. I don't have time to, I did it right there. I was going to say, I don't have time to read 7, 8 hours a day. I suppose if I wanted to, I could figure out a way to do it. But I really don't want to. But I will commit to 30 minutes daily. At least 10 pages. That's my minimum. Sometimes 30 minutes, I don't feel like it. Maybe I'm tired, distracted, I'm busy. But 10 minutes is my minimum. And so what happens is about once a week, I'll read a book. Now listen, let me say one more thing out of transparency. It's February. It's the 23rd of February. I've only read 3 books. I'm about to finish number 4. There's more than 4 weeks that passed in the year. Okay. So I don't want you to think that I'm sitting here reading an hour every day just to impress you. No, but I am committed to 10 minutes every day. So I'm consistent. So I don't miss days. And that's where the 3 came from. I'll finish the 4th one probably tomorrow. I've already read a little bit today. And this is where I'll say this last thing. Don't read books just to turn pages. Don't read books just to impress other people. Read books that help you become the best version of yourself, the higher version of yourself. Read books that help you get closer to where you want to go faster and smoother. Read books for you. And so it's great. You're like, oh, you read all these books. That's so amazing. But what did you do with what you read? Because I'm speaking to you as an entrepreneur, as a trainer. Some people read books just for fun. And that's a beautiful thing to do. Read fantasy books and sci-fi and historical books and romance novels. Read all of it. For people who want to grow their business, who want to hear yes more often, who are looking to replace, whether that's advancing a career or to grow the business they own and they're building. Maybe you bought a franchise. It doesn't matter. Why are you reading? If it's for fun, that's fine. But this channel is about business development, about personal development, it's about growth. And so I want to remind you those 3 things. 10 minutes daily, read books for you, and keep track of your progress so you can give yourself credit for how far you've gone. Don't worry about how far you have to go. Okay? All right. My name is Bruce Hill. I make sales simple through trainings that emphasize personal and professional development because I believe you grow your people, you grow your business. And as always, one new skill will change your life.